Thank you to BetterHelp for sponsoring this video. No matter what kind of day, week, month, or even year you're having, BetterHelp can, well, help. It's an online therapeutic resource that will assess your needs and match you with your own licensed professional therapist, all from the comfort of your own home. Does it get any better than that? To get started, head to betterhelp.com/CinemaSins. Answer a few questions about your state of mind, and before you know it, you'll be matched with a therapist who will work with you. Oh yeah, and you also get 10% off your first month when you click that link below. Now, on to the show. Pre-logo satanic chants.
My planet Arrakis is so beautiful when the sun is low.
Zendaration.
Their cruelty to my people is all I've known.
What a horrible thing to endure. I'm really interested to see how this movie tells me more of her story from her perspective.
Richer than the Emperor himself.
Not pictured the Emperor. You may assume the writers would help us associate who anyone is with expositional visuals, but nope. We're thrown into the depths of the desert and forced to survive a barrage of places, prophecies, and people. When this Fremen emerges from under the sand to kill this person, it's pretty cool, but I don't understand the importance of using foot soldiers to stab dudes when you're about to lay waste to the mining vessel using these plasma laser guns, the destruction of which will kill a lot of people on the ground, including your own soldiers. I was told this movie is slow, and I wondered when that pace would become noticeable to me. I mean, this scene does feel a little slow. And then I realized I was watching this scene at 1.5 speed, so I fixed that, and now I'm concerned at 2 minutes in. Dune. At the end of this 2 hours and 38 minutes, we will see the fullness of Frank Herbert's vision for the first book of the series, and god damn it, what the fuck is this thing? Is it Paulie's Daily Planner? Is this reminding him of that dentist appointment? An evolved Alexa? Or is it just a fancy nightlight? Notice how they conveniently set this 8,000 years in the future so that you can't verify if anything in this movie is true. We're counting on you, CinemaSins 10,191, to give this a good re-cinning when the time comes.
Why do we have to go through all this when it's already been decided?
Ceremony?
Weddings. Is this asshole eating a spoonful of brown sugar for breakfast? We're still betting on these holograms with terrible resolution being the preferred method of washing stuff, huh?
For the Imperium, spice is used by the navigators of the Spacing Guild to find safe paths between the stars.
Okay, so the uses of spice include preserving life and health benefits, and also, this is very important, interstellar travel! How the f*** does spice do this, you ask? Well, it's easy, you see. Hold on a second. Let me get some notes. I see the engineers followed the exacting standards of the historical document Heavy Metal when they created this spaceship. The creation, cleaning, and maintenance of this spaceship ramp carpet.
How much will it cost them, traveling all this way for this formality?
3 guild navigators, a total of 1.46 million, 62 salaries round trip.
You know, when Jessica told Paul that she was glad he got up early so he could get dressed in the ceremonial garb, I really expected something more profound than a zip-up jacket.
I saw you lying dead.
Dreams Paul Atreides has had about Arrakis, mainly Zendaya, but also this very specific dream about Duncan dying, but no other dream about anything else, I guess.
Felt like if I had been there, you'd be alive.
Also, I dreamed of this close-up of a beetle.
Father, I'd like to ask to join Duncan, Idaho on a scout mission to Arrakis tomorrow. I've studied the Fremen language. I'd be an asset.
Out of the question.
Dude, just tell your dad you've got a huge boner for some chick you kept dreaming about and you want to meet her. He knows your mama's a witch and you probably inherited some of her powers. Go ahead, man, the boner! You gotta tell your dad about the boner!
And grandfather fought bulls for sport.
Yes. Look where that got him.
Wait, was that this person's grave a moment ago? Did they put the cause of death on the top of the casket for all to see? What if someone important died on the Tywin style? Is that displayed for all?
I can tell it was you by your footsteps, Gurney Halleck.
Someone might imitate my stride.
They wouldn't. Thanos is a dick to ancient furniture. The force field armor thing they use in this movie is leaps and bounds ahead of the 1984 Dune, but it's still weird and I don't like it. Besides, it doesn't seem to protect anybody from anything. Their swords easily penetrate the shield. At no point in this exercise or anywhere else in the movie does someone say, "Oh man, thank God I have my weird, disorienting armor on."
The slow blade penetrates the shield.
Uh-huh. I'll be sure to keep that in mind during every adrenaline-fueled battle scene, where all the weapons are furiously flying around and somehow hit their mark.
I see you found the mood.
Is this movie turning into Call Me By Your Name too? Because if so, I brought the peaches, motherfuckers!
When it's a gift, not a gift.
When it's a jar? Am I playing this game right? Somebody once told me that Vladimir is one of the most horrible tyrants of all time. So imagine my surprise when his visual introduction is a steam spa and a simple brow wipe. Maybe I'm missing some fear cues, but I really just want him to have a cool towel and some water right now. Is this space tube ovulating? Beware the sisterhood of the traveling trash bag pants. Seriously, what the f*** is this flying glow sphere?
How does she know about my dreams?
I do your laundry, Paul!
Your mother asked me to check your vitals.
I do this by touching your hair. I am not a robot. Who said anything about being a robot? Error. Error.
You must do everything the mother tells you.
The capital of Norway is Oslo. Make sure you have a spare number 2 pencil. Goodbye.
Silence.
That wasn't part of the explained rules. She simply said to keep your hand in the box, not to keep it in there and avoid expressing anguish. I mean, if we're making up rules, why don't you take off your fishnet face cover? Because it's pressing down on your nose and distracting me. Also, in a few seconds he makes noise again, and you don't stick him with the death needle or tell him to shut up.
Goodbye, young human. I hope you live.
Of note, this is apparently not appropriate to say at children's birthday parties as you depart, especially if you aren't invited.
You were told to bear only daughters, but you in your pride thought you could produce the Kwisatz Haderach.
Look, if you have something in your religion that foretells of the Quizmaster Burt Bacharach, someone has to do it. Also, I am keenly interested in learning how she could have dictated the sex of the baby just by giving it some thought.
We think he's very close now. Some believe he's here.
Listen, that's great, Mom, but can we go somewhere that's less dark and smoky to have this conversation? And maybe can we speak a little closer than 30 feet apart? Plant plucking, ship steeping, palace packing, shoulder seizing, pebble pondering, sunset staring, excitement? All right, guys, we're going to go to a new planet and oversee spice production. It'll kind of be our new home, I guess. Be sure to pack up that painting of Paul's grandfather and the head of that bull that killed him. Also, when someone asks you why this movie is so long, remind them that we've spent 20 minutes saying goodbye to a planet. Is that space tube sperming? Flying chest penises! What's important to note here is that the locals have been fed a bunch of stories about the One and believe Paul is that guy. That's all you need to know. But this scene takes almost 4 minutes. It takes a whole minute for them to get off the ship, and we see Paul and his mother's entire walk to the Thopter. I believe in a movie wanting to take time to breathe, but goddamn. Everyone warned me about the sandworms and how long this movie feels, but no one warned me about space bagpipes. I became so bored watching this walk across the whipping winds of the desert scene that I actually studied Jessica's horribly uncomfortable looking shoes. Have you ever seen a shoe design where the heel doesn't actually support the heel of the foot? Well, now you have, and it's horrible.
They see the signs.
You see what they've been told to see?
Religion.
We're good to go.
Fucking go then!
Shield wall protects the city from the weather and the worms.
Huh. Makes you wonder how they built that wall in the first place if worms were always on the attack. We see later they have no way of fighting the worms, just evasive maneuvers. So how did anyone build this wall?
Each one of these drinks every day the equivalent of 5 men, 20 palm trees, 100 lives.
Math?
Should we remove them? Save the water?
No. These are sacred. Old dream.
Oh, old dreams, eh? Yeah, that really clears up the whole issue of keeping trees alive over people. Super get it. Thanks for clearing that up.
Capable of reaching 400 meters in length.
That's 1,312 feet, just in case you were wondering. And no, that's not an attempt to say that imperial measurement is better. It's a jab at the movie for using meters to describe the worm's length, and then feet to describe the bush's deep roots in about 30 seconds.
Stretching more than 450 feet deep.
I don't understand why an assassin would use this mechanical bug thing to cut through a wall mural, knowing that the sound it makes could tip off the person you're trying to kill. Sure, they don't expect Paul to know that the hunter-seeker's visual acuity is based on movement, like T-Rex, but they leave it all to chance. They could have sent this thing out at any time when he was out in the open and avoided tipping him off.
The Harkonnen agent was cemented into that hole 6 weeks ago. Ran the hunter-seeker through a water pipe inside the walls.
How did you even find this guy if he was cemented in the walls? If he was running the hunter-seeker through a water pipe, why did it come through the bedroom wall mural instead of Paul's bathroom? If there's someone operating the hunter-seeker from afar, then why did the operator have trouble locating Paul when he stood still behind the hologram and it went to attack the housekeeper instead? I have many questions about this assassin and the hunter-seeker, but now we know some shit's going down, so let's move on. Also, hunter-seeker, isn't that redundant? It's like calling something an automobile car, or a worker employee, or saying someone is whacking jacking in the water shower.
Why, Dune?
Stellan Skarsgård. Also, roll credits. Spare us the remaining 90 minutes. Wait, 90 minutes?
How bad is it?
I don't know. Let me grab my umbrella and you can see for yourself.
It's a Chris knife. It's sacred to his people.
Know what else is sacred to his people? Moisture. But Duncan won't tell you that important bit of information before Stilgar spits and makes everything awkward.
With your permission, sire, I must check the integrity of your speech.
Dr. Kynes has been here for 20 years. Certainly she knows not to approach someone like this without getting permission first. Asking for permission and going to do the thing at the same time is not permission. Yes, I was hoping we'd be back inside the Dragonflyer thing. I need more footage of all the desert landscapes. Woohoo!
What would you do if your ornithopter went down out here?
You wouldn't want to go down out there.
Paul didn't say he wanted to go down out there. He asked what Dr. Kynes would do if she did go down out there.
You see these spotter aircraft looking for worm sign.
Worm sign?
Yeah, we haven't told you about how any of this works yet, because surviving this planet's most dangerous predator isn't anything to concern yourself with until danger is imminent.
Worm always comes.
Always. They're drawn by rhythmic noises.
My question is, why aren't there worms attacking these harvesters almost immediately if that's the case? There are so many worms out here in what I will admit is a huge desert. How can a harvester spend so much time collecting spice at all? As we go later in the movie, we'll find that almost no one can even walk in the desert without a worm attacking almost immediately. Also, this is the point where I ask why they haven't come up with better technologies to divert the worms or evade them. People have been mining here for decades, maybe even longer, and the worms are one of the biggest problems. Finding solutions for that issue would be an engineer's obsession, I would think.
Why don't we just shield the crawlers?
It attracts the worms and drives them into a killing frenzy.
Almost sounds like you could create a large perimeter of decoys with shields that would occupy the worms while you harvest that sweet, sweet spice. The big discussion around what Atreides inherited when he took over the planet is how the Harkonnens sabotaged their equipment. I'm not sure if that's the case here, but it seems like you'd test these things before going out, since the sabotage is such a huge problem. What's the best way to build the tension of the sandworm racing towards its prey? Kill the momentum with a long emotional shot of feet on sand. Now you know. Hey, Hank, you look unwell. Well, Gabe, I ate one of those spice harvesters a few weeks ago. Haven't been shitting right since.
What did you see?
And in a movie with bulky runtime, the editors make a shocking decision to replay footage we just saw in the previous scene. Is Paul seeing a possible future here? I hope so, because someone needs to prevent people from wearing flip-flops in the desert. That cannot be comfortable. All those tiny sand particles jabbing into your feet? Maybe the Fremen's feet are especially durable, but it's still not a good idea. Trust me.
I know you're pregnant.
You can't know that. I barely know that. It's only been a few weeks.
Well, what can I say? No one knows a woman's body better than her own son. This whole conversation is about stuff that the Sardaukar general should already know, and none of it matters. It sounds like normal, get you up-to-date movie dialogue, but it's just completely unnecessary. Why isn't this conversation about the strategy, which was only hinted at earlier? While I enjoy watching the Sardaukar Hell Week, I could have enjoyed it while watching more substantive conversation. This single eyelid blink. Okay, so if Leto doesn't see this light on the wall and doesn't go outside to investigate what's going on, then Dr. Yui doesn't get the chance to shoot Leto with this dart. What if he fell asleep before seeing it or turns to the other side? Sure, the attack on Arrakis still happens, but Yui doesn't get to shoot his dart in private and doesn't get to implant the poisoned tooth he's prepared for Baron Vladimir. What good are shields that let a floppy fucking bomb sink slowly downward like this? These stupid goddamn shields, I swear to God. What is extremely weird to me during these battles is that I know I've seen a full array of projectile weapons being fired, but ground combat always looks like we're still in the early 18th century or some shit.
The Harkonnens have my wife, Mona.
How did the Harkonnens kidnap Dr. Yui's wife without anyone else knowing? Yeah, book lovers, you can allude to the fact that the Baron kidnapped her years ago before Yui even started working for Atreides to turn him against them. But I feel like this movie failed Dr. Yui in some way. Even in the 1984 Dune, he was given more to do and his motives made more sense. Yes, this is a 2.5-hour part one of a movie, but developing his character was essential for this moment. Hell, are you even going to mention that the tattoo on his forehead means Imperial conditioning and why that makes it remarkable that he's even capable of being a traitor? I'm almost giving myself a sin for knowing that, but the movie will do. Oh no, the palm trees! Not the secret palm trees! Also, Paul's vision comes true, and I'm oddly upset that we weren't shown the exact way in which the palm trees were lit on fire all at once. What highly specific sequence of events had to take place for them to burn like birthday candles? Why deprive me of this detail? Here's a confusing moment when Duncan leaps out of the sky, beats a few asses, and the remaining troops scamper away rather than rally and destroy their single outnumbered enemy.
I've never had a highborn.
All bad guys are rapists. I'm happy they can sign to each other, but how can you communicate everything in sign language using 3 barely visible fingers while tied up in the dark?
Remove her gag.
I know that Jessica can use the voice, and that's why she's gagged, and they don't know that Paul can do it, but seriously, why isn't he gagged? Here in worm territory, Paul and his mom don't do anything to disguise their movements, and no worms come to attack. Man, this bull's head makes more appearances than Dr. Yui in this movie. Tables. The Baron survives this. It's not that I want Duncan to die or anything, but how is his ship still in the air? Earlier, the Harkonnens shut off Lady Jessica's ship from a remote location, and they saw Duncan jump in his aircraft and fly away. How would they allow it to stay in the air? All this time I've been wondering how the Baron survived that poison and... So now we know at some point in the future terrible choices are made and a battle is waged between 2 nearly exact looking forces. Who will come out on top? Eggshell or ivory? Stay tuned. I had this dream where I was kicking all this ass, and then in the middle of the battle I opened up my helmet so that people could see it was me. Hey, is anyone keeping track of all the visions to remember? Add a pile of burning bodies to the list.
You did this to me!
kids.
That's Duncan.
What a massive leap in logic that seems to be. I mean, of course it's Duncan. You can tell by the massive Duncan sign on the side of the Dragicopter that is also pulling a banner across the desert skies that reads, "Hot Boy Here," accompanied by the fanfare. Once again, these assholes, and especially Duncan, who's been living with the Fremen and definitely knows better, walk and run across the desert full of sound-detecting sandworms without a care in the world.
Do you know what this place is? It's an old ecological testing station.
Not waiting for the other person to respond to the question before continuing with the answer.
They were meant to tame the planet, free the water locked beneath the sands. The work had begun, but then the spice was discovered.
On the very day the spice was discovered, someone snorted that spice and said, "You know what, man, I bet this spice can unlock the key to interstellar travel, man." And that stoner was right. We know! Fremen can turn moisture into drinkable drinkies. We don't need to see people spitting into a machine right now for ritual or mouth rinse. Jesus. Take a sip of water while you're at the ecological station and let's get this movie wrapped up.
I know you loved a Fremen warrior and lost him in battle. I know you walk in two worlds and are known by many names. I've seen your dream.
Fucking hell. Facebook Meta's data mining operation has officially gone way too far. These Fremen glance at the shadows and realize they're about to be pounced on by the enemy and straight up bury themselves in the sand. So what? We can see endless footage of Dune landscape, but not how the Fremen wriggle below the surface of the sand so expertly? Show me something that matters! Oh look, the bug is back to indicate that Duncan's death is looming. As if we needed the bug to remind us of this fact. As if anyone's going to jab their movie buddies with their elbow and exclaim, "The bug! Oh it is go time!" Duncan races into battle and swings his weapon across his enemy's abdomen with a strong thrust, but wouldn't that mean that his blade would have bounced off the shield because he's not swinging slowly? Basically, this entire battle sequence seems to be the shield shrugging off its duties, as if to say, "Yeah, this guy's a badass, so let's just allow this attack through." We all know Duncan is awesome, but these supposed best of the best fighters come to fight him one by one and are taken out like chumps until they finally overwhelm him. There's at least 12 dead Sardaukar here before even more guys show up to finish the job. Look guys, you can't show me the laser this close to Paul's leg and see him run for 2 seconds longer without getting hit. But that's what the movie says happens. I guess we'll just blame the blood loss for Duncan's poor decision-making to announce himself, rather than silently kill his foes from behind. Ornithopter won't start, cliche. We think we're about to see Dr. Kynes do something incredibly badass. She's going to ride the sandworm. Instead, because movies have a martyr complex that apparently audiences crave from characters like these, she dies at the hands of these 3 dipshits. It's supposed to be this great moment where the sandworm swallows her along with the Sardaukar, but it's only 3 soldiers, and there's no movie-enhancing reason for her to die. And I wanted to see her ride the goddamn sandworm, goddammit! Nobody panic. We have at least 20 more minutes of spacecraft flying around the sand planet. Paul allows the Thopter to go into a free fall, and it's out of control. Now, the movie cuts to this person playing a palm-sized xylophone. Look, I don't know what it is, and you don't either. Shut the f*** up. Anyway, after this scene, it cuts back to the out-of-control Thopter and Paul basically sleeping. Then an alarm wakes him up, and he says,
"We're above 5,000 meters.
But how are they above 5,000 meters after falling that far? Do you know that's like 3 miles in the air? Were they ever 3 miles up in the air? And they've been free-falling. What the shit is going on? Casually playing with balls.
Nothing survives such a storm. They're dead.
I agree, Drax, but you've just fallen victim to the bad guys. Think the good guy couldn't possibly have survived that cliche. You're kind of a dick for not keeping some people behind to investigate whether he died or not.
We're about to enter worm territory. We can't walk like regular humans.
Even though we did so successfully a couple times already. Also, if it's desert, then what isn't worm territory? Are there patches of desert that the worms don't touch? Ooh, are they MS-13 territories? So, are they doing the sandwalk here? I don't think they are. Do you get a sandwalk reprieve if you're running up a hill?
It's drum sand.
So Paul knows how to name drum sand and how to confirm drum sand by sound, but he forgets that when you stomp on it, that it attracts nearby sandworms? Are we blaming sun exposure for this horribly dangerous mistake? Or are we blaming the writers for forcing tension so we can finally see a sandworm pop out of the earth?
Run!
Look, I would run too, because this is a pants shit kind of moment. But couldn't you just simply sandwalk in a different direction and not Prometheus' school of running away from things, the situation? Or do sandworms just have a hammerlock on your bearings once you've made them mad? The worm stops attacking Paul before we ever hear the thumper, and my question is, why? Did the rock stop the sandworm? Does the worm somehow know Paul's a messiah? There seems to be this epic exchange between the two, and people are watching in the distance, but no one mentions it in the following scene. So I guess a worm suddenly halting its attack isn't all that impressive, in which case, why is seen?
It's a thumper.
Oh good, that sounds awesome. Why are you f***ing making noise? Can't you display your thumper identification skills after the sandworm leaves? Jesus, Stilgar straight up walks out to this ledge, and before he could be spotted, quickly reclines into this chill chaise lounge pose. He really thought his entrance through, and I'm not sure if I'm impressed or concerned that he has far too much time on his hands.
But the woman isn't trained. I'm too old to learn.
That's Rebecca Fergusonist, sniffing the Ricardos.
You will have your own molar pistol when you've earned it. Give it to me.
If I'm reading this movie correctly, nobody's ever earned this pistol because I've never seen anyone shoot one. It's been all swords up to this point, with a sprinkling of hunter-seekers, darts, and laser beams. Look, I know Paul Atreides, much like Neo before him, is the one. I know he's been training with some very well-regarded Jason Momoas in his lifetime. But Duncan, when talking about fighting one of the Fremen, said,
I've never come so close to dying. There's no finer fighter in the Imperium.
And I think we're supposed to believe Duncan is the best fighter in the whole Dune universe, especially after he laid waste to nearly 20 Sardaukar in a previous scene. So that Paul survives this seems like some supreme bullshit, even if he maybe has a Sherlock Holmesian way of figuring out his opponent's fighting moves. It's kind of f***ed up that the beacon of all that is good on Dune, the Fremen, celebrate death this much. I guess sometimes even the Fremen just trot across the desert without their trademark sandwalk.
This is only the beginning.
F*** you, Zendaya! Are you threatening me? The ending of this movie is just as I feared!
It's coarse, rough, and irritating, and it gets everywhere.
A huge thanks to BetterHelp for sponsoring this video. Is there something deeper preventing you from achieving your New Year's goals or resolutions? Or maybe it's just a normal wear and tear of life? BetterHelp is here to support and help you overcome any challenging season. This worldwide and completely online resource specifically values your needs and connects you with a licensed professional therapist without ever having to leave your home. Between timely live messaging, weekly video or phone calls, and thoughtful conversation, BetterHelp is not only more comfortable but also more affordable than traditional therapy. To get started, visit betterhelp.com/CinemaSins. Answer a few prompts about how you're feeling, and you will be swiftly matched with a therapist right for you. BetterHelp is dedicated to giving you a happier life as soon as today. So check out the link below for 10% off your first month.
Give me a keg of beer.
What's in the box?
Oh, what's in the box?
Like sifting sand through a screen.
So are the days of our lives.
Let's take a look-see. Hate your hair. Not likely. Yikes, yikes, yikes. And let me guess, you have a great personality. Activate silence.
The cone of silence.
Well, this is a magenta alert, isn't it?
You know what date is on this coin? 1958. It's been traveling 22 years to get here. And now it's here. And it's either heads or tails.
Well done!
Can you sing, Master Hobbit?
Yes.
Come, sing me a song.
There it is! There it is! There's the tinted beetle! Yes!
You let us die! You let us die!
Where is our champion?
I will be your champion.
You look really pretty.
Therefore, I have value.
The boy doesn't know our rules.
I thought I explained the rules to you very carefully. You have to kill the man.